When talking about working with remote software development teams, productivity is one of the main concerns for those companies in the United States considering it as an option. Is it possible for distributed teams across countries to deliver the same results as a fully co-located team? As a nearshore development boutique from South America that works exclusively for US clients, we'd like to share our perspective on the matter and provide some insights into how to effectively manage remote collaboration. So, to start off, let's address some of the most popular myths surrounding remote collaboration. Myth number one is local means better. The true measure of a great developer does not lie in their geographical location, but rather in their commitment to quality and their ability to stay up to date on the latest technologies. It is also worth keeping in mind that hiring within your area, city or country does not guarantee that you will get the most talented developers. As a result of talent shortage within the software development industry, local developers in the United States are in very high demand, so their rates might not always correspond to their skill level. Myth number two is skilled remote developers are hard to find. It is true that the massive size of the market for remote software development teams can be overwhelming. But as a general rule, smaller sized boutique firms that provide staff augmentation services are the best way to go, as they tend to focus on quality and specialize in a specific set of technologies. There are also great developers who may not be experts in a singular technology, but have the ability to learn and excel at their craft. These full-stack developers are generally very experienced in a wide range of technologies and have a very short learning curve at the time of learning any new ones. Myth number three says that culture, language, and time zone differences can hinder productivity. This is a valid concern, but in our opinion, it mostly applies to the traditional offshore market overseas. The nearshore outsourcing market in Latin America significantly reduces all of these risks, as developers in these countries share both the time zones and the cultural values of the United States, and most of them are also English fluent, so integrating them to your teams shouldn't be an issue. It mostly comes down to finding the vendors with the best talent and processes. And finally, we have myth number four, which says that remote collaboration slows down delivery. The time spent by teams communicating remotely as opposed to in person can seem like a disadvantage. However, by focusing on having clear communication and documentation processes in place, there is no reason why your development cycles should suffer at all. Regular check-ins and ongoing communication through Slack and other tools help distributed teams track productivity effectively. The proper use of these communication tools allows teams to minimize idle times, and this way remote collaboration processes do no longer result in time loss or missed deadlines. By holding daily meetings, sharing constant updates on any progress and completed work, and making that work visible, you allow the client to always be in the loop about everything that's happening within their project as if they were sitting by your side. So now that we've covered the main concerns associated with remote work, let us share some of the most valuable lessons and principles that we have learned at Virex by working with teams from the US. Ideally, you will want to hire developers who have proven experience in distributed team settings to ensure that they can deliver results and avoid any learning curves in areas like communication processes. A key indicator of a great developer is their ability to self-manage without needing ongoing supervision, which allows the rest of the team to focus on their core tasks. Treating remote work the same way you would treat in-house work is crucial for effective collaboration, whether we are talking about remote work from home or within a remote co-located team. At Virex, we focus heavily on replicating our partners' everyday work environment, and we go about this in a few different ways. So not only is all our staff trained and experienced in the best practices for remote collaboration with clients, but we also understand that a lot of knowledge is shared while being face-to-face with one's teammates, which is why we put a lot of focus on internal communication and team support. And this is one of the advantages of partnering with a boutique firm as opposed to an individual contractor or freelancer. Our developers are always there to support each other whenever needed, which helps advance their skill learning process and their overall performance. We have a clear internal communication process, and an example of this is that we use Slack not only as a tool to communicate with our peers in the United States, but also between ourselves. Using our own internal communication channels helps us better assimilate the necessary habits and processes that we then use with our partners abroad. We also share our rules of engagement playbook with our team so that they know what is expected in terms of responsive communication with clients. Both you and your remote contractor will benefit from having an early on agreement about what communication and project management tools you will be using throughout your collaboration. For any casual communication, Slack proves to be the best choice. This is where you can have an internal chat between all team members and communicate daily throughout the course of the project. And for project management, Trello is a great choice where you can work in an agile environment using sprints. Here, the client can create their own stories and prioritize them, and it also allows you to track the time your team spends on each task so that you can measure productivity and be transparent with your client about the work being done. It is also important to define meetings for the different roles involved in the project. And examples of these can be daily meetings with the development team, planning meetings with everyone involved in the project to define work for the following weeks, and review meetings where progress is reported. Agreeing early on this will help ensure that every team member attends the meetings they should be involved in and for everybody to be aligned under the same methodology. By setting up clear processes and choosing the right tools to carry them out, you will guarantee that the team is aligned with the goals of the project and the client, that the client can see and measure the progress of the work being done, and that there is a record of all the work in tools like Trello to avoid future miscommunication issues. Successful teamwork boils down to effective communication, and this applies to co-located and distributed teams alike. But in distributed team settings, remote developers should go out of their way to show that they are contributing to the team by communicating on a regular and consistent manner. The best way to earn your teammates' trust and respect is through what we call overcommunicating. So let's look at a couple of examples of what this can look like in practice. As a remote developer, you should try to replicate the routine of a physical office by letting your team know your status at all times. A great way to do this is by using Slack as a virtual office and greeting your team first thing when you arrive to work every day, when you break off for lunch, and when you come back from those breaks, and when you finish your workday. This way, everyone can know when you will be available if they depend on your help, especially in settings where there isn't much overlap between the distributed teams. Be responsive and transparent by acknowledging every message that you receive from your teammates and providing an answer as soon as possible. When a person is working remotely and they get asked a question that they don't have an immediate answer to, the first thing that they should do is let their counterpart know and ask for the necessary time to solve the issue. A common bad practice is working on getting the answer first and only then letting the other person know via Slack. The problem with this approach is that the whole process may have taken from 15 to 30 minutes without the other person getting any answer at all. This is why using Slack as a virtual office is so important. Whenever we get asked a question or we get asked for help and we don't have an instant answer to provide, we will tell our partner, let me do some research and I will get back to you on that, and only then start doing the research. This makes a big difference because our partner knows that their message has been read and that we are effectively working on solving their problem. Being reliable and predictable involves letting your team and your clients know what they can expect from your work. They need to know that you understand what you're working on and how you're going to execute it. So focus on doing a good job with your project management tool so that the status of the project can be assessed by both sides at any time. Properly reflecting the status of tasks and adding relevant comments to it also helps everyone know what you are working on. A key aspect here is that the client should always be able to understand what we're working on. For example, if you have a call or a meeting with a client and some work gets defined as a priority, you should leave a record of what that decision involves on the appropriate story within your project management tool. This helps avoid any he said, she said kind of situations and also helps improve the dynamic of the meetings themselves, where sometimes things get discussed but are later forgotten or not entirely clear. All things considered, effective delivery and productivity shouldn't be an issue when considering remote collaboration, as long as you have the right tools and processes in place. At Virex, we rely on a remote collaboration process to carry out all of our projects and the challenges that they involve. If you're looking to scale your team and would like to try out remote collaboration with us, we can guarantee that it will be as effective as having in-house staff by your side. Get in touch to know more about our workflow and how we're helping our current US partners. Thanks.